Sometimes it's preferable if you have Photoshop layers such as this figure or such as this background to import them directly to the stage in an Adobe Animate file instead of into the library. That way the layers will all line up with each other and you won't have to realign them in Adobe Animate. I'm going to hop on over to Photoshop and I'm going to show you this file. This is a walk cycle of a man. And as you can see, I have 8 layers here and I have a timeline with 8 frames. Now I'm going to delete the timeline. I'm going to actually delete the animation. Delete animation. And I'm going to show you all the frames. So I have each frame, each layer in the Photoshop file is a frame in the animation. So if you go to timeline, just by going to Windows and clicking on timeline, and then you make frames from layers and you adjust the timing, you will be able to see your animation. And you can see if the sizes match up, if it's smooth, if there's anything that needs fixing. So I'm going to just save this, and I'm going to hop over to my landscape stack, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. So this is the top layer, the second to top layer, third to top layer, and then way at the bottom is the background. So there's my landscape. I'm just going to save that. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go to Adobe Animate. So I'm going to create a new file. It's going to be an HTML5 canvas, 24 frames per second, full HD. I'm going to make my stage, I'll make it 25% because I want to see the entire stage. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do File, Import to Stage. I'm going to go to my landscape stack. I'm going to click on the top where it says Select All Layers, and I'm going to convert them to Animate layers, which means that they are going to be imported into a stack here. So let's just hit Import, and you can see I have 4 layers already here, ready made to go, all lined up with each other. Now, the nice thing about that is that these layers, these 5 layers, 4 layers plus the white background, is that they're all lined up with each other so that they're not going to get out of sync. And also, all the layers are selected. You see how they're in blue? So if I enlarge it by taking the transform tool, all of them will enlarge together. So they're going to stay lined up with each other. There we go, because all the layers are selected. So you won't have to worry about lining up the layers, realigning them, re-registering them in Adobe Animate because they're already lined up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up something here where I'm going to hide all the layers, and then I'm going to unhide this one. Okay, so now I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to right-click, create motion tween, and I'm going to make it so that it lasts 10 seconds. Okay? Now, I'm going to lock this layer, and I'm going to go to this layer, and I'm going to unhide it, and I'm also going to make this layer last 10 seconds. Okay, so create motion tween, okay. And this one's going to last also 10 seconds. So it's going to be visible throughout my whole animation. Now, what I want to do is I want to add another layer. So I'm going to go over to my timeline and I'm going to go plus. And right in here, I'm adding another layer. Let's see. So in this layer, I'm also going to insert a new symbol. It's a graphic symbol, and it's going to be called Walking Man. Okay, it's a graphic symbol. And now I'm inside the graphic symbol. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also import to stage. File, import, import to stage. And I'm going to get this male model walk cycle stack. I'm going to open it, but I'm going to select all layers. But instead of animate layers, I'm going to convert this to keyframes. And when I import it to the stage, the nice thing is that all the layers are going to be already assembled together. Okay, they'll be lined up with each other. So if I go back here and I go to now I'm in scene 1, I'm going to go to my library and I'm going to take this walking man symbol and I'm going to pull him in here, right to there. And all the layers are lined up so that I don't have to worry about him looking discombobulated when he walks. Now I'm going to just hit the shift key and make him way smaller. I want him really super small. I'm going to bring him up here. Well, not that small. Okay. I'm going to bring him up here because I want him to start walking way back here. Okay, and now I'm going to right click, create motion tween. Okay, so by about 1 second, I want him bigger. So let me hold my shift key down when I make him bigger. And I also want him over here. So by 2 seconds, I want him bigger. And I want him over here. By 3 seconds, I want him even bigger. And I want him over here. And by 4 seconds, I want him way bigger and over here. And by 5 seconds, way over here and way bigger. Okay. So now what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to take this walk cycle and I'm going to have it end just about here. So now I'm going to take this layer, layer 7, and I'm going to copy layer. Okay. And then I'm going to go up here, a little higher up, above layer 3, and I'm going to paste layer. Okay. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to start it here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to convert it to a frame-to-frame animation where I'm going to keyframe each frame. And then I'm going to reverse frames. Okay? Now, this is going to be kind of crazy. I want to start at the second frame. First of all, let me deselect these frames. I'm going to start at the second frame. What I want to do is I want to grab all these frames. I'm just clicking and dragging except the first frame. Okay? I'm going to delete frames, remove frames, sorry. So the only frame I have here is the one that's identical to where he left off. Okay? Stay with me here. I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to unhide layer 3. Okay, so now I've unhidden layer 3. I'm going to cut this frame and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so I have him starting here, and I'm going to turn him into, let me go to this layer. I'm going to turn him into a motion tween, create motion tween, and now I'm going to pull that motion tween out to here. Okay. And so I'm going to go down here.
Basically just me
create
manipulating the different animation layers and creating keyframes partway into the story and pulling in the graphic symbol of
and I'm also going to pull it out to here.
Of the little sailor boy.
Okay,
and
so now here he is.
Making him move through
and
the
I don't
landscape.
want him staying still.
So
I would
it
say
just got
by
very
7
repetitive
seconds,
and tedious. I don't think you need to
needs
see
to
it.
be way
you can get
bigger
as complicated
and
or as
over
simple
here.
as you want. You could use 2 or 3 layers. You can make the figure get bigger as it comes forward. You can make it move towards you. You can also add in various animation layers to create new layers to your landscape at different parts of the animation. You just have to go down on the timeline to the 5-second mark or the 6-second mark or wherever you want it to be. Insert a blank keyframe, pull in the graphic symbol, and then
if it's on a Mac,
enlarge it so that it's about the size of the previous frame and have it start anew, but in a new, with a new background or a new landscape. You can add in different settings at different parts of the story, or just add additional layers to the parts of the setting that you already have. You're going to be going back and forth a lot and kind of tweaking it. If you mess up on a motion tween and you can't figure out how you messed up, you can always right-click, remove motion tween, and then redo it. So I'm going to just skip ahead to the part where I added in a layer and then I kind of made the layer
what I want
fade off or zoom away or get smaller as the figure was coming towards me. So I'm going to skip ahead to that part.
To frame by frame.
There was a lot of trial and error with this last one, but basically what I ended up doing was I created a motion tween for the foreground, and I actually had it start out really big and get smaller as the figure came toward me. So I'll see if I can get to that point and show you that part of the video. Here we go. So I had enlarged the extreme foreground. I turned it into a motion tween, and as the figure was coming towards us and getting larger, I made the extreme foreground get smaller and recede. So I created an additional layer that added more to the illusion of depth. So then I exported the final video, and I'm going to show you again what it ended up looking like. Keep in mind, it took me almost an hour, about 50 minutes, to figure this whole thing out. And that doesn't include creating all the assets, the figures, the backgrounds, just the animation. And of course, it's nowhere near perfect. It's just a tech test to figure out how to do this type of animation.